Well, Jinny Yan, what are you dreaming of, Chief China economist at ICBC Standard Bank? Of course, we're all dreaming of an end to COVID-19, a resumption of economic activity. But in all seriousness, do you get what the president is saying about a Joe Biden victory as well? Would it make much difference, given what I've seen as bipartisan support for a more robust trans-Pacific stance? Good morning to you.
Good morning. In fact, yes, I think it's very right to think that actually the pressure on China will not go away regardless of the results of the elections. But in the run-up to elections, and that's to be expected, that tension will start to ratchet up. Now, given that the current situation in China, which is that strong performance of fundamentals are supporting its relative outperformance compared to Western economies in particular, clearly that pressure will mount. I think in China, people do dream of a better life and obviously, stronger performance in both in terms of companies, but more importantly, in terms of wages. And I'm really dreaming of the stabilization of consumption in China, and that yet we haven't really seen. So more policies focused towards consumption stabilizing in China.
Yeah, Jinny, and that's a really important point. And I picked up from your notes that also say there is a slightly more hawkish tone in monetary policy. Now, I find that really hard to believe, given how accommodating to the Chinese consumer the central bank has been as well. When we say more hawkish, basically we mean within a very dovish range, don't we really?
Well, hawkish term meaning very, very conservative and very concerned about the pace of growth in asset bubbles and in particular the real estate market and probably the equity market. And those kind of bubbles are exactly where the financial risks lie in China's economy. And back in the decades, of course, we've seen a lot of stress, particularly on banks. And if we start to see these NPLs start to build up and these distressed assets still start to build up, that will test really the legitimacy of the current economic policies. And therefore, when we say hawkish, that tone really is aimed at the interbank liquidity. And of course, we saw injections in the past 5 days, actually consecutive injections, and that really is to offset any pressure in light of liquidity tightening. But there will be still record amounts of local and central government debt yet to be issued. So yes, in terms of fiscal policy, monetary policy, very much the emphasis is still very much supportive of the economy, but marginally those asset bubbles forming is exactly what the authorities are concerned about.